Chapter 11. Lost and Found. The weeks hurried after each other, and rice-planting season came again. Tuan had not visited Durand village for a long time. Some of the mountain people who had traveled down to the city by the sea said that he had moved out of the city and was building a new school at the end of the bus line, where the long trail down the mountain ended in a paved road. It must be right near the place where the red bus had frightened Kondima. She had not seen the Tuan and his children for many weeks, although she often thought of them with a warm tugging in her heart. Memories of the house of children and all the joyful activities there filled her with a loneliness she could feel but could not talk about, because who would understand? She was growing fast, and the little dresses, still fresh and clean, had gotten so tight and short that she could no longer wear them with comfort. Now she often put on the long, dark, woven skirt that the older girls and the women of the village usually wore. "Kondima, Chaya," Mother shook the two little girls awake in the early morning light. "We are all going to the rice field today." She spoke to Kondima. "Only you are to be left at home. Chaya must go with us, for we have much work to do. We will take the babies along, so you may gather firewood." Chaya tumbled out of the mosquito curtain and began packing up clothes and food and putting them in a big basket. Mother gathered up the little boys and strapped the small one to Chaya's back. After tying Banny on her own back, Mother went down the ladder. She paused and called back to Kondima. "Be sure to have rice cooked for us when we get back. We will be tired and hungry." The whole company of rice planters left for the distant clearing in the jungle. Kondima turned over on her mat. She hugged her two little dollies close. "Bother the old firewood." She gave her pillow a savage punch. "Why do I have to work so hard?" She sniffed and sputtered. Not being able to settle back to sleep again, she crawled from under the mosquito net, took the big water bamboos down to the spring and filled them. On her way back, she saw Mookit climb down the ladder from his house. He looked sleepy. "Where are you going, Mookit?" She leaned her heavy bamboos against the hut. "Father says I must dig a ditch back of the house this morning to drain the water away from the hen roost." Mookit yawned and stretched his arms, but continued to loiter by the ladder of his hut. "I am leaving," Kondima told him. "I am tired of being worked to death. What with carrying water, carrying wood, and tending babies and cooking, I have decided not to stay here any more." Mookit's round eyes looked as if they might pop right out of his head. "Where will you go, Kondima?" He sat down on the ladder to listen to her answer. "I will go to the Tuan's house." She pulled herself up straight and proud. "After all, I am one of his children. He will be glad to have me back. I won't have to work down there." "But the Tuan's house is far away." "I know the way." Kondima picked up her water bamboos. "And if you were a smart boy, you would come along with me." Mookit had risen, but now he sat down again. An astonished look spread over his face. Kondima spoke on. "At the Tuan's house there are lots of children. They sing and play and laugh. They eat delicious food. They have pillows and pajamas. And I'm going right now." She tilted her chin with pride, carried the full water bamboos to her hut, and then came out and closed the door with a bang. She did not look at Mookit, who still sat where she had left him. Throwing her light scarf over her shoulders, she started up the path towards the top of the hill. She thought of her two dollies still snuggled under the corner of her red blanket, but she did not turn back. She saw a picture in her mind of the house of children and the Tuan waiting for her at the end of the long trail. Halfway up the hill, Mookit overtook her and fell into step. Two little girls called out and ran after them. "Where are you going?" they asked, all out of breath. "We go to the Tuan's house," Mookit told them. "We are tired of working all the time." He snorted just as he had seen Kondima do. "We go where we will be treated better." "My folks are pretty mean to me, too," Elijah complained. "I have to weave baskets and mats all the time, and I have to pound out rice for the whole family." She trotted along with Kondima and Mookit. The fourth child said that she, too, had a rough life at home and felt sure that the Tuan's house would be more pleasant. Before the four had quite gotten away from the clearing where Duran village stood, another small boy joined himself to the rebels, and all five entered the jungle trail that led over the mountain and far away. Kondima warned the children about leeches. "We must go fast," she told them. "Then the leeches will fall on the place we have been instead of on the place where we are." They hurried so fast that no leech could possibly overtake them. When they came to the valley of the durian trees, they could find no fruit because the durian season had passed. Kondima, however, seated them all on the grass, and they pretended to fast off the leaves and grass, playing that they were eating rich and delightful food. With such laughter and eager joy, they scrambled up and hastened on their way. The children lingered a long time on the top of the mountain where they could first see the ocean in the distance. They asked many questions about the valley of water, and Kondima gave them such a vivid account of the terrors and discomforts of ocean travel that all of them shuddered. "Under the water, there are great hills and valleys," Kondima told them. "It is most uncomfortable when the ship passes over them." When they took up their journey again, the sun shone down at midday heat. Everyone in the hill villages had gotten up early and hurried to their rice fields. Kondima felt sure they would meet no one on the trail. She encouraged the tired children with thrilling tales of her adventures in Singapore and at the House of Children. "There will be good food and blankets and toys at the Tuan's house." With fine courage, she led the little company over the steep and rocky path. Early in the afternoon, they came to the big rock where the Tuan had taken her on his knee on her first trip down the mountain. She ordered all the children to bathe their feet in the little stream. Then, weary and hungry, they hastened on their way. This is where the snake tried to eat the monkey. Kondima did not need to hurry the drooping children. Thoughts of the great snake that might be hiding in the swamp swept them by the place on winged feet. The sun hung low in the western sky when Kondima led her friends out of the rubber grove onto the paved highway. She strained her eyes and looked around. She saw the new buildings across the wide Turan River. "Oh, look, look!" Her cry gladdened the children. She pointed across a long, low bridge. "See the new houses? That is where the Tuan is making his school. Come, we are almost there." As the children entered the gate close to the nearest building, a tall boy called out, "Who are you?" He shuffled out to meet them. "Who are you, and what do you want?" Kondima didn't like the look in his eye. "Who are you?" "I am called Majita. I want to know what business you have here on the school property." "We are some of the Tuan's children." She faced him squarely. "We have come to live in his house, and we are hungry. We want to see the Tuan and his children." Majita threw back his head and laughed until he had to lean against the building. "So you are some of the Tuan's children. Ho, ho, ho." He held his sides with merriment. "I know the Tuan has a lot of children, but I never saw any of them as dirty as you are." He laughed with so much scorn in his voice that Kondima boldly touched his arm. "I know we are muddy and tired, and we don't look good to you, but the Tuan will be glad to see us, for he loves us and wants us to come to his house." She backed off, and anger rose up in her. "I should like to know who you are about this place. What do you do for the Tuan?" At this remark, Majita sobered down enough to consider the children before him with more kindness. "I am here to watch this house. I sleep here at night, and I help the Tuan with building houses." He spoke with a dignity that matched Kondima's. "When the school is ready, I will attend." He hesitated a little, ashamed of giving an account of himself to this small girl from the mountains. "The Tuan is not here," he added. "He went into the city this afternoon and took the family with him. They have not yet returned." Over the little group fell a shadow that had nothing to do with the approaching night. Mookit whispered to Elijah, and all 5 of the children squatted down beside the new buildings to rest their tired legs. Then they heard the sound of a motor car. 2 bright headlights turned in the gate, and the car came to a stop in front of them. All the children sprang to their feet. "Tuan!" Majita called as he advanced to the side of the car. "Here are 5 children come from the mountains just now. They say that they belong to you, and they have come to live in your house." He waggled a finger at the forlorn group. Kondima saw the Tuan lean from the car window and look at them standing there in a row. He said not a word, but leaned on the steering wheel and laughed until the surrounding forest rang with echoes. Kondima felt better. If the Tuan could laugh like that, he must not be too displeased at their coming. She took a step towards the car, and the children followed her. "What shall we do with them, Tuan?" Majita could not hide the disgust in his voice. The Tuan went off into another fit of uncontrolled laughter, and the children advanced another step. "Look, Majita," Tuan finally caught his breath. "Of course they have run away, and they will have to be sent home. But we must feed them and make them happy until their parents come. Poor little things! They must be tired and hungry, too." Tuan looked sober enough now. "Come over to my house, Majita. I will give you plenty of rice and fish and vegetables. You must cook them a good meal. I will take them to the river and get them cleaned up. Then we will find blankets and mosquito curtains for them." No merrier party ever swam in the old Toron River. Tuan played with them for an hour. The full moon shone, and the water felt cool and refreshing. When they came back from their romp in the river, a feast appeared, the like of which none of them had ever seen or tasted except Kondima. "You see," Kondima nudged Mookit, who sat stuffing his mouth like one of Golan's pigs. "You see, we are all his children. Have we not eaten rice in his house?" The Tuan had risen from his place among them and seemed about to say something important. He looked kindly on them all. The feeble lantern light threw dark shadows on his chin and face. "I am happy to have you little ones with me." He opened his arms wide to all 5. "But we are not quite ready to treat you as you should be treated. We do not yet have a proper place for you to live." He swept his hand towards the mountains. "All you mountain children need to go to school, and as soon as the school buildings are ready, I will come to your village and bring you. Then we will learn many wonderful things and have a good time together. Tonight we are glad to have you stay with us. But if no one comes for you by morning, I will take you home to Duran village." A tired sigh arose from the children. The smallest boy had already fallen asleep. The Tuan quickly put them to bed. Kondima dropped at once into a deep sleep. The moon had gone down when she awakened. Had she heard a strange noise? She reached out for Chaya, and then she remembered. She parted the curtains and crept to a small loft window. A party of men with torches stood close to the building. By the flickering light, Kondima could see the face of her father, and Mookit's father, and Elijah's father. All the fathers had come. They shouted before the gate, "We beg shelter for the night." They raised sad and discouraged voices. Tuan's head appeared at another window. "We look for our lost children. All night we have searched the mountain. Oh, Tuan, help us find them. Have pity on us." Kondima's heart flopped in a quick somersault. Her father had grieved terribly over her running away. And what about Mother? She had come home from a hard day in the rice field and found no supper. "Oh, poor Mother," she cried out. "Your children are here." Tuan's voice rang through the darkness. "They are all safe and well cared for." "Thank God," all 5 men spoke at once. "The Lord is merciful." Then Tuan went out and brought the 5 fathers in and made them comfortable for the rest of the night. Late the next morning, a party of 10 persons set off for Duran village, laden with good things and fully instructed about the new school. The boys and girls trotted along with light hearts. The rugged journey seemed short and easy, for they had learned one thing for sure. They were all the Tuan's children now.